Here we'll be taking a look at the contact information section inside a client file. Right now we're looking at a fake client inside of our demo version of the software, and the contact info section is broken down into different parts. We have primary, spouse, file settings. We have primary address, secondary contact, and secondary address. And then each of these parts here has a thin kind of box that surrounds the fields that pertain to that particular part of the section. So starting at the top, we have the primary. And primary has access code, which the access code is typically going to be the client's SOCH, but basically it can be any unique code or like a value, and it will work fine. So, but the reason why the SOCH works best is because no two clients are going to have the same SOCH. And also, if you are a Drake or Crosslink user, then you need the client to have the SOCH in there for that EF data import to work. And so that's why SOCH usually works best, but you can also use something like cell phone number if the client does not want to give you their SOCH yet. Then we have what type of account it is. You can choose between an individual or a business. Both will have different fields that pertain to that particular type of account. So if I just flip to our fake client's fake business, you'll see that a business type of account has fields that pertain more to a business. So for our individual account, we have first name, last name, initial, suffix, nickname. We have date of death and date of birth. The date of birth format is that in that month, day, year format. Then we have a few fields for phone numbers. We have cell phone, day phone, and evening phone. Also a fax number field right here. The password field is their password to get into the client portal. You can give them a password by typing in a new one here, or you can send them one with this link right here. And then the PIN is what they need to e-sign with. So again, you can give them a PIN just by typing one in here, or when they're on the client portal, they can click a link to request a PIN. And then finally, we have a section for email and a section for the gender of the client. Moving on over to the spouse area. So spouse has fields for SOCH, first name, last name, and the middle initial. They also have a checkbox for divorced, and the way that this works is you would check this in the last year that they filed jointly, and then once you add that new year for Brandon, when this is checked, the spouse info will no longer move with the primary. It will kind of just fall off. You can still see the previous years with the spouse info, but going forward, that spouse info will no longer move with the client file. And then married filing separate, you would check this if they are doing that, and then if that's the case, Lainey would need to have her own primary file created within the software. Spouse also has fields for nickname, date of birth, date of death, cell phone, day phone, and then the evening phone. And then you'll see here that since we actually have some phone numbers in here, we can click this phone icon since we have the VoIP feature, and that will take us to the phone page, and we could call this number directly. So you only see this if you sign up for VoIP. Then we also have a field for fax, and then there's a field for the PIN, which the spouse will use to e-sign. You'll notice though that the password field is still only within the primary, so the spouse would still need to log in with the same password that the primary uses, but they will have their own PIN. And then the spouse also has a field for email and a field for gender. All right, moving on up to file settings. We have default all communication to, and the way this works is we can select a user, and once we do that, anytime that our client sends us a portal message, sends us an email or a text, this user will be assigned that message. And then the request to prepare will make it so whenever we schedule this client, this user will be the selected person to schedule the appointment with. And also, if we were to create a new year for the client, this user will then default as the account user in the account info section. Then we have the category 1 and 2, and these are in-house categories that you can assign to your client. There's a drop-down menu that you can pick from, and so we have 2 places where you can give those to your client. And then we have special condition, and this is used as a field to give a heads up about any sort of special like condition or something that should be known about your client when they come in. This can give your staff a heads up of what's going on with that. Then we have archive, and this checkbox is used to prevent your client from being searched. If we were to check this, then click save, we could then no longer search for this client. The only way that we could is if we went to this advanced search filters and then actually searched for our archived clients. Other language will make it so the other language version of the messages that can go out to your clients, this will make it so this client will receive that version of that message. Blocked is an in-house meaning here that if you check this, then click save, it'll add a brown sort of color to the client's name. And this can mean whatever in-house meaning that you want it to have. It can mean that this is a client that you no longer want to offer your services to. It can mean something else. So just like whatever it is that you want it to mean, it is a visual mark here for that client. Disable emails and disable SMS. This will make it so those two messages will no longer go out to your client. Stop sending mailers. This makes it so this client will no longer show up on the mailers reports. Then we have the notification overrides, and the way these work is you can type in an email here or a cell phone number, and this will make it so any automated message will then go to whatever address that you enter in here rather than what is in for the email section right here. So this is useful more so for like a business file where if there were multiple contacts that should be getting the notifications, you can add all of their emails there and then still have the primary contact with just one email in there. Same thing is true for cell phone, though for the cell phone, you can only have one cell phone number override in there. And then we have disable contact auto data update, and this is only for our Drake and Crosslink users. This will make it so that EF data import will not update the fields inside the contact info section. So normally how this works is when you create a new file for the client, this will be unchecked, and then once you do that first EF data import, it will then update the contact info and then check this box. Use nickname for the notifications. This will make it so for the notifications that will fill in their name, it will then instead use their nickname rather than their first name. And then users with access to this file, you click this view link right here, and this will set up to where you can choose what users that you want to have access to this file. By default, every user has access to every file, but if you want to change that, you need to go into each client file and then set up who has access to it. Moving on down to primary address, this will tell you the client's street address, city, state, time zone, zip code, province, and country. And this print button right here, this will make it so it'll print a mailing label if you want to send the client something. Secondary contact is just another contact you can add to the file. There's first name, last name, gender, the relationship that they have with the primary contact, then also cell phone, evening phone, day phone, fax, and email. And then lastly, there is a section for secondary address. So you have similar to the primary address, you have the street address, city, state, zip code, province, country, and then a note here to describe like something that has to do with this address if it needs to have a special note for it. Going to go over the business file real quick. We've looked at it a couple times already, but just to kind of go a little more in depth, the EIN is the same as the access code. It needs to be a unique code for the client, so the actual EIN typically does work best. We have business name, doing business as, website. We have fields for all three of those. The file settings, this is very similar to the like individual sections, so these are all the same here. Primary contact has first name, last name, the title, cell phone, day phone, and then like evening phone here, fax, PIN, password, email, gender. So a lot of the similar fields that we found in a personal file. Same thing with address, that is essentially the same. The main difference with the business file is that it has more areas for contact. You have second contact, third, and fourth contact with all pretty much the same fields here. All right, so to finish off the contact info section, we're going to talk about these buttons on the top right. You have actions, which are some quick functions that you can access when you're looking at the contact info section. So you can quickly add a permanent upload here, and that's going to pull up a side window where you can select a file to upload for the permanent documents. You have delete, which if I click on this, it's not going to let me delete the client. We still need to delete every item that's in here, but that is where deleting the whole contact is at. There I have a print button, and this will create a client info sheet that we can then print if we wanted to. And then there is the schedule link, and clicking this will take us to our appointment calendar. Links are different areas of the client file that we can access that do pertain to contact information a little bit. We have appointments and call log, messages for the client portal, contact summary, email. Then there's text messages here, and then there's links for permanent documents, prospect messages, and referrals. So these are just shortcuts to those particular sections. And then finally, there's save. And of course, if you make any change in here, you definitely want to click save. So that is it for the contact information section. I hope that was helpful, and definitely reach out to Adam Support if you have any additional questions.